Hey everybody, it's your 95th president, Steve Fappas. At JCI Michigan, through professional training, leadership projects, and team collaboration, we make your dreams happen. This is the only organization that will train you how to strategically accomplish your goals. Not only do we attract young professionals, we create them.
The thing that has made the biggest impact on my life with the Jaycees is it gave me a voice. I was living in this world where I felt like I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't know how as just one person or how anything that I could do would matter, that anyone would care and it would make a difference. And the Jaycees gave me a group of people who felt the same way I did, and together we're able to really make a difference.
One of the biggest impacts that JCI has given to me is the ability to start off with a small project that I ran that was just a community-based project. We wrote letters to kids back from Santa Claus, and this year I was able to take on one of my biggest projects yet as Beautiful Baby and fundraise almost $20,000 for the community. So it allowed me to have that confidence doing a small project and now to move on to those larger projects that have a bigger impact in the community.
I would say it's really helped me come a lot out of my shell. When I started the organization 4 years ago, I was a shy, introverted person that would just kind of sit in the corner of the room, not comfortable talking to people I don't know. And it was because of the Jaycees that kind of helped me break me out of my shell. I got to meet new people, joining first-timers in my first conference, maybe talk to everybody I didn't know, and it was terrifying, but great at the same time. And because of all the positivity and how everyone they want you to succeed, and it just makes you want to keep doing things.
One of the things I love most about the Jaycees is that it gives us the opportunity to achieve our definition of success. And a lot of people, when they think of success, they think of, corporate jobs or homes or making a lot of money. But one thing I've learned through the Jaycees is that everybody has a different definition of success. And what our objective is to find out what that is and help people achieve that goal so they can feel successful in their life, no matter what that looks like.
I would say the biggest way that JCI has made an impact in my life is it's made me more comfortable talking to people professionally. I started as the executive director of a theater company, and I was very comfortable with fun, like curtain speeches, like put me in front of a crowd, that's great, but I have notes and I'm only there to tell them where the bathrooms are, and it's a lot different than putting on a collared shirt and talking to people approaching businesses and interviewing for promotions at work. And I really believe that without JCI, I wouldn't be where I am today. I just got a promotion a year ago, and I definitely would not have gotten that if I hadn't learned how to talk to people in suits.
The reason I joined the Jaycees was because a lot of my friends were getting married, having kids, and I really just needed a social outlet around people that were like-minded professionals that were younger. They were still going out and doing things.
I've learned these amazing skills, and I've developed a lot of really great friends, and it has just made me a much better leader and person in my community.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Jaycees TV, where I'm your host, Steve Fappas. Right before I get into how cool this episode is, I just wanted to tell you guys, I'm the state president for the Michigan Jaycees this year, that we call JCI Michigan. And I want to tell you, this year has been absolutely amazing for me, traveling to all the chapters, seeing what everybody's doing, holding these awesome leadership conferences. And I think everybody that's under 40 years old should go check out jcimi.org and find out what the Jaycees are all about if you don't already know. And as for this episode, I get to talk about two things that are really important to our JC organization. And actually one of them is the Jayteens. We're bringing back our teenage group to bring them up as leaders. And one of my favorite projects, the Haunted House. So you guys don't want to miss this episode. Stick around, we got some really cool guests on. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Jaycees TV. Today I have the very special honor of interviewing some folks from the Wyandotte Jaycees that are part of our Wyandotte Jayteens group. So with me I have Dawn, Faith, and Arihanna. And I just kind of want to hear more about this Jayteens. I'm real excited about it. It's something we used to do in the past. It's been on hiatus for a while, and you guys are bringing it back. Tell me what's up.
We're just trying to get all the teens together, get more active in the community, more active with the Jaycees, starting a couple fundraisers with them. So
Right on.
Faith is actually chairing a fundraiser right now with them.
All right, good stuff. So, all right, Faith, tell me, so you're doing a fundraiser, I'm guessing, just like any group, when you start something off, you don't have any money, but you want to do stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, we wanted to start a fundraiser for an anti-bullying and suicide watch. So we started collecting bottles, and we are still collecting them so we can push towards like preventing suicide.
Right on. So, collecting bottles, if people wanted to bring you some bottles, is that an option? Like if you have some returnables?
You can drop them off at the haunted house, or I'm pretty sure there's any JC or J-teen that are willing to go get them.
Okay, so let me ask you this. The haunted house is something that you guys are also a part of, right? Where's it at? So just in case people watching at home, we have a lot of viewers in this channel. Where do they go? 3131 Biddle?
Yep.
And usually you guys are there after 6 p.m.-ish on the weeknights?
Yep.
So if somebody wanted to bring something up, they could just kind of come to the front door, say, hey, I got bottles for the J-teens. I'm passionate about suicide prevention. So tell me what brought you to suicide prevention?
Because of all the mishaps of suicide, and it's tragic. It doesn't only affect you, it affects everyone else around you. You're not going to have how do I say this, a permanent issue for a solution that can be solved with nothing.
I actually know that some of the teens, we've actually had a teen commit suicide. So really near and dear to your guys' hearts, mine too. So I think it's really cool that you started there. Tell me about anti-bullying. Do you get bullied at school, or do you watch people get bullied and said that you don't like that?
Personally, I don't really get bullied. I'm more in lines of you need to stop bullying.
Good for you.
So I'm not just going to sit there and watch someone get bullied. It's not my forte.
Well, that was Arihanna's campaign that she started last year.
All right, so this was yours, Arihanna. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to start a campaign like that.
I was told about it by a couple people about bullying, and then it started through the school, like my teacher talking about it, and then I ended up doing it through the Jaycees, and I made a poster for it, and then ended up winning.
Oh, cool.
Contest.
Fantastic. And are all you guys in, well, Dawn, you may not be in Wyandotte schools anymore, but you guys are both in Wyandotte schools?
I graduated.
All right, so well, that's right. You just recently had a graduation. Congratulations. You made it through. Now real life begins. You're going to enjoy that. And then Arihanna, you too?
I go to Anderson.
Okay. Southgate? Right on. It's cool. It's cool. We're from Wyandotte, but you know what? We're from all over the place. So a cool thing that the viewers may not know is, yeah, we're centralized in Wyandotte, and we try to focus a lot of our projects in the Wyandotte community. But really, our members come from all over the place. You don't have to live in Wyandotte to be a member, and sometimes some of the projects that we do don't necessarily only affect our city. We reach out and do more. And I know that the JC group, when they do Thanksgiving baskets and Christmas baskets, we go out farther than Wyandotte for that too. So good to see you guys taking that on. So that kind of leads me to another thing, like what brought you to bring the J-teens back? So you said you kind of saw a need for it, but was it because of the haunted house and you wanted to get excited, or not?
No, it was mostly just to get them all back together, because they kind of fell apart. Just let them know that if you have a problem, you have a peer that's here that can help you, or one of us that can help you with it or talk you through it.
All right, that's cool. Will you guys be helping the JCs, or are you only going to do your own stuff?
No, the JCs are actually a big support in the J-teens. So whatever the J-teens can do to help the JCs, we plan on doing.
All right, cool. And I think the last version of the J-teens, I felt that it kind of separated a little bit. So if you guys kind of keep the main mission of JCs at your heart, I think it will work even better this time. So I'm definitely really excited about that. So I'd like to ask each of you something that you're excited about in the future for the J-teens. So we'll start with Arihanna and work our way back this way. What's something that you are excited about that the J-teens will be doing?
The rest of the anti-bullying campaign.
And you're heading that up, correct?
I think the most important thing to me is probably bringing everyone back together. Just knowing that people have a safe haven to go to.
All right. Bringing the group back together. Dawn?
My thing is I want to do a buddy system with them, so they know, okay, I can count on you, you can count on me when I'm having a bad day.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah. And just let them know that either, if that person can help you, we have a whole group, not only just the Jayteens, but then the peers throughout the Jaycees can be there to help them too.
That's really cool. And do you plan on, when you're done being part of the Jayteens program, becoming a JC?
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, good deal. And something that we really try hard to do is grow the JC organization. Wyandotte has one of the strongest JC groups across the whole state. So you guys are really in a good place to come up into the JCs and learn more about leadership. So is there anything, like, what do you guys want to do for your careers? I don't know if you're headed towards college, but what are you looking to do?
I plan on going into pharmaceuticals.
Okay. To be like a pharmacy tech, or to actually get behind the scenes and
like
develop?
behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arihanna, have you figured out where you're headed?
I want to go to college and for like law.
Right on. I could see you being on the legal team there, or being a lawyer.
She debates good.
All right. An interesting thing is that the JCs do a debate competition, and on the state level, we're looking at starting more teen groups across the entire state of Michigan. So it might be a cool way to start bringing up like debate groups if that was something that you guys might be interested in. What kind of skills do you think you guys might need to learn?
I think I just need to learn better communication, better leader skills.
What about you?
I need to work on like not being so nice if I'm going to go into law.
Fair enough.
Like
Most lawyers I know aren't super nice. And what do you think they need?
I think they need a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspiration and motivation.
And do you think they'll find that in the JCs, yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Where do you, as any group has struggles finding people, where are some places that you think you'll look to find new Jayteens?
Any school.
Their friends groups.
Just
Facebook.
doing
All
like
right.
the groups or like the activities. I feel like it'd bring more people in. So.
What type of groups?
I mean, the Jayteens are pretty accepting. It doesn't matter what kind of category you kind of fit in or whatever clique you fit into. The Jayteens are going to be accepting of whoever you are. So.
I like that aspect of it. And that's something that's also true in our JC group is anybody from all walks of life, we want everybody to be able to take part in the JCs and benefit from what we do. So even starting as teens, you guys would actually make really good JCs already. And the fact that I know you personally and know that you already do that, that's great. So it made you a really great group to take it on. Have you thought of any projects that you could partner with for the JCs?
Well, we're kind of working with the haunted house. So
Okay.
That's the biggest
yeah,
attraction
that's
that
our
brings the
biggest right
teens
now.
in.
That actually brings a lot of people in. It's actually what brought me in.
How many teenagers do you think help with the haunted house?
Oh my, a lot. I couldn't pinpoint it, but it's different people every day.
Okay.
As more people come in, they bring more people in, so word gets out.
What skills have you learned already just by helping with haunted house?
I've learned to express myself a little bit more, and I've learned how to use a power drill.
All right, all right, and that's something using a power drill is something that you don't do all the time at home, I assume.
No, not at all.
What about you, Arihanna?
I learned like independence of like trying to do stuff on your own and then asking for help if you need it.
All right, cool. Tell me a little bit more about the haunted house project. How's that going?
Good so far.
I think I've been there for four haunted houses, and each one is slowly getting better than the other one. And
Okay.
Especially this year, I think we have a good setup, and
Yeah.
we have two like amazing people running it. So hopefully it'll be the best one.
I think I know Danielle Bora and Joel Adkins
Yeah.
are our co-chairs for the haunted house project this year, and they really have done a good job in the past. Danny's been over a decade of haunted houses, and Joel's actually been to probably over a decade of our haunted houses, but only over the last few years got involved. So what a cool team. What do you think, how do they react to having the Jayteen support at the haunted house?
I personally think because Jayteens do like a lot of like the sweeping and the cleaning and like the painting and stuff. I think it like helps actually a lot moving along, especially because when they're putting up walls, we can be sweeping or like cleaning off like the tables and stuff like that. So the minor stuff that needs to get done is what the Jayteens do.
I think Danny's a lot more supportive of the Jayteens too, because she was the original one with the Jayteens.
So yeah, that brings up a good point. I believe she was there at the inception of the Jayteens from 12 or 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And then she rode that program out and came into the Jaycees. Actually, her and Joey Sampson both were Jayteen members that became Jaycees, and then now
I think Colin Hall too.
And Colin too. You're absolutely right. Became Jaycees and stayed Jaycees.
Yeah.
So something that I really looked up to the Jayteens for is bringing up leaders that are ready to go, and when they join the Jaycees, they're ready. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys join the Jaycees in a few years, and you guys taking it forward, because I don't know if the viewers at home know, the Jaycees themselves is a young person's organization, and we top out at 40 years old. So, and then, you know, groups like Kiwanis or the Rotary, or there's other places that we go after we finish here. But the same thing is going to be true for you guys. So you'll come into our organization and be the future. And I'm about to age out of this organization, so it's good to see that you guys are up and coming into it. So, and John, how's your involvement going to go? Are you going to be the Jayteens main connection to the Jaycees? What is it? What's your
more of like
role?
a mentor to the teens.
Okay.
You know, they all know that if they had a problem. Even when we didn't have the Jayteen program, they were calling me and messaging me, hey, I need help, I need this. So it's kind of like trying to guide them and mentor them to the right way.
So you've kind of probably found yourself like that a lot, and that's just something
Before
that's
we even started the program back up.
part of your personality and who you are.
She's just the Uber driver for all of us.
That too.
All right. What kind of car you drive? A van?
I used to.
All right.
I used to have them piling out like a clown.
The clown car, yeah.
Yeah, I had like 15, 16 of them in there. Opened all the doors and they just
And
fell out.
Everybody piles out. Fantastic. What are some things that you're looking forward to in Jaycees then?
I personally think, because I need to work on my leadership skills, I personally think the Jaycees will help me advance that. And considering you've been, a president? You are?
I'm two-time president, yeah.
Coming from you, you are like an amazing leader. And
Thank
I think
you.
learning from you would be a great experience.
Well, I have a cool opportunity for you guys. In February, we do our leadership conference, and it's going to be the 7th through the 9th, and it's really close. We do them all over the state. This year-end one for me is going to be in Ann Arbor. We'll be at the Wyndham Hotel over there. It's going to be phenomenal. And since we're trying to create more Jayteen programs, there's going to be ways for you guys to participate too. So Dawn, you might have to get the van ready and bring everybody out to the conference so you can show off what you do. Because I'd really love to see you guys show the rest of the state what Jayteens is all about, how it works here in Wyandotte. And I've got to be honest, it won't be the first time Wyandotte's paving the way for something big that the state of Michigan Jaycees is taking on. So, all right, we talked a lot about Jayteens. What do you guys do for fun? Dawn, start off.
Hang out with my kids, pretty much.
All right.
Or other kids, or who's ever around.
All
Besides, now it's just a haunted house. That gives me a lot of fun.
All right. How often do you build haunted house?
Since we started,
Yeah. Like, is it an everyday situation?
I try to.
All right.
Oh, there's a lot. I spend a lot of time with my siblings and my friends.
She sleeps a lot.
I do.
So, you guys are sisters, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have other siblings too?
We have an older one, Angelica, and then we have a not so little brother.
All right. I've met your little big brother, brother. All right.
I hang out with like my friends, or I'm with my sister and my brother, that I'm doing sports or things of that kind.
Cool. What kind of sports do you do?
Cross country, track, and I'm a gymnast.
What is cross country? I don't even know if I'm familiar.
Long distance running.
Wow. All right.
She can go for miles.
Aaron Bartel is a member of ours that does long distance running as well. For Running to Honor, and then he did a huge event. Were you guys a part of that as well?
We were in Mexico.
I was there.
I
Our trip,
see.
we had a little issue with our trip. We had to stay a little bit longer than we expected.
All right. I think that was your graduation trip. So is that your treat for graduating?
It was more lines because mine and my mom's birthday kind of fall around the same time. So each year we kind of do something for our birthdays.
Cool. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being on the show. I look forward to all the great things that you're going to do. If there was anything you wanted to tell the folks at home how they could get involved, anything that you'd like to tell them? Should they show up to the haunted house and
Yeah,
maybe
they
see
can come
if...
up to the haunted house. We can always use them.
All right, so like we said before, it's 3131 Biddle. Most weekdays after 6 p.m. If you see some people there, feel free to look for Dawn or Arihanna or Faith and say, hey, I have a kid that might be interested in the Jayteens, or I myself might be interested in the Jayteens. And if their parents sign the waiver, they'd be able to help right away at the haunted house too, right?
Mm-hmm. We actually had one the other day that seen us that Jimmy Johnson came over. Was like, I want to do this.
Perfect. So guys, there's plenty of ways to get involved with the Jayteens. Come on out, check it out. Obviously, once the haunted house project opens, see the hard work that all the Jaycees and the Jayteens put into that event. And again, I'd like to thank you guys for being on the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Jaycees TV. I am very excited about the next guest on my show. I have Ryan and Joel here to talk about one of our biggest and best projects ever in the Wyandotte Jaycees, our haunted house. It's that season, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah, it is. It's a long season for us. When we approached the city to get the building, I literally went to the engineering department one day, and Jesus looked at me and he goes, "Haunted house." He goes, "It's July."
Yeah.
I said, "That's normal people talk." We're gonna need those keys.
We're gonna need those keys. It's late.
Yeah. So but now that we're into September, and we're just a little more than 2 weeks away as the day that we shoot this. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of nervousness because we still have a substantial amount of work to go, and you're thinking about getting all the marketing done and getting all the haunts exactly how you want them, and then training the crew. But yeah, I always tell people this is the hard part. Getting it open is the hard part. I mean, obviously, operating it from night to night has its own challenges, but
there's more fun and excitement
fun
there.
Part,
yeah.
and then you start to see,
your reward is the people coming in, right? Yeah. So tell me, let's hit it right away. Where's this thing at?
Well, the haunted house this year is 3131 Biddle, Old City Hall, where it has been. This will be the 7th year. It was there first in 13. Wasn't there in 14, but has been there every year since. 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Yeah, this will be the 6th out of 7 years.
Jeez, that's awesome.
There. Yeah.
And I just got a huge shout out to Building and Engineering and the City of Wyandotte, the Mayor and Council, for allowing us to do that. They give us a dirt cheap rent and say, hey guys, you can come on in, just be safe.
Yeah, and without the city's support, we could put some other scaled down Halloween event on, but it would probably for at least a year or two before we could recover as a chapter. It would kill the project.
Yeah, it really would.
I mean, in this day and age, you're talking about, I know in the 80s when the city couldn't supply a building, they ran it out of trailers, but that's where the industry was at the time. Right. It's not there anymore.
Anxiety Alley was the trailers.
And there's still some examples of it, like Rochester's Tunnel of Terror, but they've been doing it for 50 years.
But Dan Mollering that runs that over there, really cool guy.
Yeah, so it's like for us to do that, we'd have to probably get 3 or 4 trailers. You're looking at $3,500 a pop. Like, it's not feasible. It's not feasible. So yeah, the city's involvement is paramount.
Yep, and they've been awesome to us for 41 years.
44. Well, this is our 43rd year.
Oh, that's true.
But like I said,
we had a couple years with trailers, so they were like, hey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But every year since, pretty much every year since 1988, 89, something like that. Yeah.
There's actually a list. It would be cool if you're able to share that at some point.
I've cobbled together what information I can that's been passed down to me from other people.
All right.
But yeah, it's a very interesting history.
Well, you touched on it a little bit, and you said, hey, normal people aren't talking about Halloween in July. Yeah. So what are you doing in there?
All right. Well, before I get to anything else, I want to introduce Ryan.
All right. Yeah. We're just getting excited. Ryan, welcome to the show.
She's nervous.
It's quite all right.
I told her not to be. So Ryan, her mom works here at City Hall.
Okay.
And at the art fair, around art fair week, our chapter president, Megan Miani, got a hold of me. And she said, hey, do you know Heather, how do you pronounce your last name?
Zagor.
Zagor. And I
Okay.
said, I know the name. And she said, well, she's got a daughter who wants to volunteer. I was like, all right, well, tell her to send me an email. So that's how it started. Well, then I happened to run into her and her mom at the art fair, and she was all excited to volunteer. I said, well, you know, like, come on in. We're always welcoming the new people. And that's the thing. Every year we do, it's not uncommon for us to lose a person or two. The kids graduate,
Absolutely.
they go to college, they get jobs, whatever the case may be. So we need new blood each year. And Ryan's been an example of someone who came in fresh, wanted to learn everything, and she's been there practically every single day.
Oh wow, great.
So yeah, do you want to tell your story about how you came through 2 years ago and why you wanted to get involved?
So pretty much I went through 2 years ago, and
It's a haunted house called Kindred.
Yeah.
yeah, so I went through Kindred. I didn't even have to make it in the building yet. We were just downtown with like my aunt and my cousin, and we were like, let's go to the haunted house. And I got outside, and well, Dr. Giggles met me at the door.
Fantastic.
I was crying before we even got inside.
Right. That is one of my favorite things about the haunted house is it's more than just pay your money and come through for the experience. Like we create and we're in an environment that expands outside of the walls of the haunted house.
Which gets us in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
But
yeah. We're no strangers to the police
no,
maybe coming
no,
over
no
and
strangers.
say, hey, can we contain this to this area here?
You know what though? That got us free advertising 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It got us in the News Herald because they did a piece on us before the season started. It's like, hey, Jaycees Haunted House opening again this fall. It was pretty late in the season, and they picked up the story. There was some motorcycle club or something from like Taylor. They were at one of the local restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who clearly doesn't know how to pick up on context clues was like, oh, a killer clown, because that happens.
Right.
And the News Herald picked up the story, and I remember there was this huge discussion on Facebook with all the board members. And I actually got a call from, it was one of the news stations. They're like,
that's
do you want to comment on the incident? And I almost laughed because I'm thinking it's a nothing story.
Yeah. Right.
But I had to tell the guy, I'm like, you need to contact our chapter president. But I remember this
the human resources
yeah,
department.
This conversation got rolling, and at the end of it, no one really seemed to know what to do. I said, so I'm like, if no one has any objections, I'm running with this, and I'm sharing that story to our Facebook page for free promotion.
Yeah.
And no one raised any objections, and that's what I did.
I think I remember who the particular clown was, too.
Yes.
Gil?
Yes.
Yeah. A good friend of mine and famous clown from Haunted House,
Yeah.
and he's got 20 years of experience, and he's busy with wife and family and kids, and he'd come back for one night, and he got us on the news. That's kind of how epic
Thanks,
that
Gil.
was. Yeah, good work, Gil. If you're watching at home, I'm sure you're one of our viewers of this fantastic show. So good times. So tell me about the budget. So how much does it cost to do something like this?
It fluctuates. The last several years, we ask for a budget of $15,000, $10 for construction, $5 for marketing, and that may sound like a lot of money, and it is to our chapter.
It is, yeah.
But in the haunted house industry, that's a drop in the bucket. When you're talking professional haunted houses, you're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars even.
Right.
You know, there are animatronic props in this industry that sell for thousands of dollars. I would love to have a few extra grand for marketing.
Right.
But you have to.
You need every penny.
Yeah, you do. You got to work with what you have, and we have a fairly similar strategy that we used 2 years ago at Kindred. And I never failed to point out that Kindred was, at the very least, the most successful haunted house in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And I've looked at the numbers that I was given. In some years, there was a gross amount recorded. Some years, there was a net amount recorded.
Right.
So it's kind of like,
how do you compare?
Right. So I actually took a second look as we were heading into this year. And I talked to Danny and Steve Caldwell. I was like, you guys, I'm looking at the numbers because I didn't realize previously that there was a mix of gross and net. I said, we may have actually been the most profitable haunted house in the last 20 years, according to these numbers. Because you're looking at a gross that says 35, 38,000.
Right.
You're like, okay, but how much did they spend on the project?
Oh, 20,000.
So it's definitely in the ballpark as one of the most successful last 20 years. And I mean, I know we're all proud of that.
And you should be. Tell me, compare this to Kindred in other ways. I know you're really big in the planning of that specific haunted house.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Is that deep? All right.
It's
All
real.
right.
Get your boots out.
All right.
But first, I want Ryan to tell her story. Why did you get involved this year? You went through Kindred. You survived, right? You got through.
Yeah.
You met Vermin. You met Dr. Giggles.
Yeah.
Faith Ann, the whole family, Mama.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us some more.
I don't know. I cried through the entire thing.
You literally had tears coming down
Yeah.
your face.
So wait, okay,
I
stop
screamed
right
through
there.
the
Stop
entire
right there.
thing.
You were scared before you came in the haunted house. You cried through the entire thing, right? You were terrified, and then you're like, I'm gonna work here. Tell me, well, how does that happen?
Okay, so I went through Kindred 2 years ago, and then last year I went through Erebus with a couple of family friends.
Right on.
Well, I recently found out that
animatronic rat in there.
yeah, recently found out that Danny was working there at that time too. But I am extremely terrified of anything that involves like scaring me.
Okay.
I either break down in tears or I scream and run. And if you would have told me like a year ago that I'd be working at a haunted house, I'd tell you you're wrong.
I believe that. So did you seek it out on purpose?
A couple of my friends worked here last year, and we're kind of like, it's fun, and you don't even have to like come and scare with us.
So
you
true.
just go build, tear down, like all that. And I was like, maybe.
Right.
I doubt that I'll make it through the season, but
Well, you're
I'll
doing
give it a
pretty good so
shot.
far.
yeah.
She's our star pupil for the season
Oh, I'll
thus
say,
far.
yeah. Joel told me that so once you started working there, you keep coming back every day to help out.
Yeah.
So tell me about like that learning process and what you're getting out of the project.
Well, the first day I showed up and Danny said, "Do you have gloves?" I said, "No." She gave me a pair of gloves. She said, "All right, here's your test." I went, "What's the test?" She took me out to the trailer and I had to carry a piece of wood, and it wasn't that difficult, but trying to find like the grip on the wood isn't easy.
Right.
And the second day I was like, I want to learn. Like, I don't want to just carry wood. I want
Right.
to learn. And she was like, all right, well, you're going to follow me around for the rest of the season, and you'll learn everything you want to know.
Wow, that's really cool. Danny has an amazing talent with haunted house in general.
Yeah.
But not just with our haunted house, with people, and making sure that people feel welcome and that they're able to learn from her. And the fact that she was willing to open up and say, "Hey, tell you what, why don't you watch everything I do? If you want to learn something, I'll show you everything I got." And that's a really, really cool thing to do. And as you know, there's a lot of teenagers up there, and so what are they getting out of it?
Well, that's the type of thing, like you can jump in as someone who's brand new, and if you dedicate yourself, you can become a core member of the team real fast. I mean, Ryan's done that. I volunteered for a couple of years, and then it was at Sin in 16 that I pretty much just dove right in.
Yeah.
And by the end of the season, Danny was asking me, to co-chair the project with her the next year. And initially,
You were a pretty fast rising star.
well, I had a lot of experience of going to haunted houses.
Fair enough.
So, and a whole lot of subject matter in my own head to use against patrons.
Right.
But that's really where the ball got rolling. It was during the teardown of Sin. Danny and I were up there quite a bit, and we'd have her and I bonded. We had a lot of heart-to-hearts. We had a lot in common.
Yeah.
And she told me, she said, because the story of Delirium from 2015. That was very disappointing for her. She kind of had the project dumped in her lap.
Yeah.
And then really, she's always felt didn't really get the credit for salvaging the project. Instead, kind of got browbeat for like what went wrong.
Right. We gave this to you at the last second, but why did it suck?
Right. So.
Although it didn't fully suck.
No,
but
it made money.
Right. She got the flack for why did the project,
So she said to me, she goes, "I'd like to do this." And I told her, I was like, "Look, I know, I called it her Demons of Delirium, because that's what it was called in 2015. I said, I know you want to exercise those demons, but at the time, I had a son who was just barely a year and a half old. I was like, I don't know if I can dedicate myself to this.
Right.
So she said to me then, she's like, I want you to help with the marketing and like some of the ideas. And I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, as the ball got rolling, I took on more and more responsibility,
right.
and then we kind of had this conversation. She's like, you're more like my coach here. I'm like, all right, so we're in this thing.
Yeah.
So you asked earlier about the process from Kindred.
Yeah. How does this compare?
We don't have several hours to sit.
Well, we got some time.
It's a very...
Well, you guys aren't doing nothing. Come on, all right? Sit down
so
for a story.
The process has been similar. So at Kindred, we started in November of 16, plotting ideas. And we did ruffle a few feathers because a few people were like, wow, there was no open committee meetings and blah, blah, blah about like who was going to chair it. Like, yeah, you're right. We grabbed the ball and we ran with it. So get in line and help out or get on out.
Right.
So we put together a committee, which was something I felt was important because in talking to Danny at the time, I would ask around like, okay, so one person pretty much runs the project? That's crazy because there's all these different areas.
Right.
You've got construction,
Building,
you have marketing,
yeah.
You've got props, you've got
makeup.
I was like, one person? Like, that's nuts. So as we were putting together a committee, so we did. And by the end of it, we had about a committee of 7 or 8 of us. We lost a few committee members.
Right.
And I'll be very...
Not everybody can handle it, Joel.
I'll be very kind right now and not name the people who we lost.
Fair enough.
But I will tell this story. You and I have talked about this. I came into this with this story of, oh, the board hates haunted house. And there was this wall between haunted house and the board. And I told Danny, I was like, first thing we're doing, we're going to tear down this wall. And she was like...
I've heard that before.
I was like, no, we're going to. Well, we had 2 committee members. 2 committee members. We were sitting around kitchen table, dining room table at one of the houses. And I said, we're going to write this PMG, or CPG as it was called at the time.
Project Management Guide or Chairperson's Planning Guide for you following at home.
And I said, because we sat down, we were like, let's go through the board members and say who we're going to get a yes from and who we're going to get a no from. And I felt like even with their pessimistic views, we had a 5-4 decision in our favor.
There you go.
But I looked at them and I said, this is going to get approved, and it's going to get approved unanimously. And they laughed at me. Not Danny, the 2 who eventually left, laughed at me. And I said, okay.
Okay.
One of them said to me, you don't know the Jaycees. And I looked at her and I said, no, they don't know me.
Oh, very good, very good.
So Danny and I went to that meeting. We got an 8-0 decision in our favor. There was 1 abstention, for the record. I still have to talk to Sean about that.
All right.
Sean abstained.
But listen what we would say now.
Yeah. So it was, when you start the project that early, it is a long haul. I mean, you're talking like a year-round project.
Yeah.
And we tweaked it a little this time. So, I mean, Kindred was a roller coaster. Like, emotionally, you're there all the time. Even if you're having a bad day, especially like Danny or I, it's like we're leading the project. We're 2 of the main characters. Like, you just got to get in character and go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're sick or you're hurt.
Nope,
or you're
and
upset,
there were nights when all of those things applied, you know?
Right.
But as the season went on, and you're obviously having fun each night haunting, but as we saw like our goals being met, it was just kind of like...
That feels good.
Told you so. And then we surpassed. We set a goal of $20,000, and then we actually surpassed it on Halloween night. So it was very fitting to do that on that night, and to make as much as we did, and then learn that we beat Beer Tent by $9,000. Like, because that was my goal. When I first partnered up with her, I was like, I want us to be the top fundraiser, which means we're knocking Beer Tent off. And that was another thing. They're like, you're crazy. Like, Beer Tent doesn't get beat. I'm like, okay.
Right. Like you guys at home don't really know this, but this has been a long-standing tradition and fundraiser for Jaycees. In the 70s and 80s, it was the most amazing fundraiser you could run, and you were padding the bank account for future year screw-ups and whatever, right? You know, you got $60,000, $70,000 in the bank, which is really good for a not-for-profit organization.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'd say over the last decade, the project's lucky to break even. So you got the benefit of helping the teens and making a place for everybody and carrying on a tradition, but it wasn't bringing in the money. And you guys really changed the story that year.
Well, and that was the thing. When I saw the numbers from Sin, because Danny was sort of sneaking me the information at the time. She was like, tell no one. And I looked at the numbers, and I think Sin made around $11,000, which is a nice profit.
That's a really good profit for it. Yeah.
But I told Danny, I was like, at that location downtown, we should be making twice that amount.
Right.
And so I think we had a very realistic goal that year, and we surpassed it. And it was really, it was a very satisfying, obviously in terms of finances, but also, as a haunter and on a personal level, like you lead something that's successful, you feel good about it. But it came with a boatload of stress.
Yeah.
So when this time came around, neither myself nor Danny was able to truly be involved on the ground last year because she was working at Airbus.
Yeah.
I had 2 jobs. I was working 7 hours a week.
I remember.
It was awful.
We didn't shoot as many Jaycees TVs during that time?
It was a very dark period.
It was.
So it was actually Megan who approached me on 3 different occasions and said, hey, let's get the 2017 team back there. I was like, Megan, I don't know.
Yeah.
After the third time, I was like, I'll try. I'll talk to Danny. So the three of us actually got together at Megan's house, and we hashed it out.
You got to quit your paying gig, Danny. How do you feel about that?
You know, she was actually happy to leave, because when you go to a larger haunted house like that, you don't have the freedom. They're paying you to play a very specific role. You don't get to really lend your creative talents to anything. Like,
you're the guy behind the rat.
Yeah, pretty much. You're here, and this is what you're doing, and it's like that's a very different style of haunted house from what we do. So this process started, and I wanted to do. Danny had this idea a couple of years ago. She talked about like doing something like a limbo theme.
Okay.
Not like dancing.
That's
like
how immediately like I thought of like,
yes, like
I'm on the beach. There's a Mai Tai. This is sounding great.
So I was like, all right. I'm like, let's call it Purgatory. Let's.
So this is the theme. We're getting to it. All right.
Like let's play with those elements about being in this state of limbo, which there was. I don't want to say pushback, but people brought up kind of like, well, what about some of the religious overtones?
Well, we're a pretty religious town here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. So I'm kind of like, yeah.
Oh, why don't you share your personal views on our TV show, sir?
No, it's just like, to me, I'm like, I'm not a person who's easily offended. I feel like a joke can be made of anything. But that idea of purgatory, to me, is a fascinating one, and it is just ripe with potential for scares.
Right.
So we started talking about, well, what kind of characters would be in this haunted house that they are in purgatory? And we came up with what I think are some pretty interesting ideas.
A lot of politicians.
No, they went straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've bypassed purgatory. So that was fun to play with those ideas. And the ball, pretty much, once we decided on that theme, we had maybe 3 in the running, but that was kind of the front runner from the get-go.
It takes off.
It took off, and we had a couple of brainstorming sessions with about 4, 5, 6 of us. And then Danny and I usually have a few follow-up sessions to sort of refine things.
Yep, he's honing in on it.
Yep, and that's how it plays out. And then, then we get in the building, and that's when the mayhem starts.
Right on. Ryan, what do you think of the theme?
I don't really know that much about it. I've kind of like paid attention to their conversations as like they're talking.
You're kind of hearing all this come out as you build.
They're like talking about what rooms have what in them and like what they're kind of about. Like with Faith Ann's room, I now know what the room is, who's in it, what goes where, like the music that's in there.
Do you think that will make it a little less scary for you?
Probably not.
Okay.
No?
I felt that part for me.
Oh, yeah.
The first time, I've been scared every haunted house I went to. And then when I was behind the scenes, it really took the edge off of it. And actually, like you talk to a lot of haunters, and Ryan, this will be you one day. You'll stop paying attention to any of the actors, and you'll just look around and be like, oh, okay, I got to see what they're doing with those props over there. Oh, hey there, scary guy. All right, and see what their sounds and lights are all about. And you start looking through it to see the build of it. Now that you're in that zone yourself, I bet you'll start doing that when you go through too.
Oh, yeah.
You'll probably still get scared a little bit, but that'll wear off.
It will. Yeah, you'll build up a callus. You're not going to be what we call a normie anymore. You're one of us.
You're one of
and
us.
That's we chant that, Yeah, one of us.
So you guys probably don't hear this at home, but the crew is quietly chanting "one of us." It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
So how do people become the next Ryan? How do they come and help at the haunted house?
It's pretty simple. People will walk up. The door's open when we are working. It's literally open. And you can walk in and talk to any one of us. Generally, it's a good idea if you ask for myself, Joel, or for Danny. But you could also ask for, Steve's there often, or Jamie. You find one of us, and we'll get you where you need to go. You sign a couple forms, especially if you're a minor. You got to have your parent co-sign it.
Gotcha.
But that's it. You sign one for the rules and regulations, and then there's like a liability form, and then you can jump right in. At this point, we have the maze up. We'll be done with all of the safety equipment by the end of the week. We're rapidly approaching the stage where we're starting to place props, thinking about, okay, what kind of carpentry do we need? Like, we need this certain thing built in this room to make this scare work. And then, from there, it's, okay, well, where are the actors positioned in each of these haunts? What's the variety of scares that they can do, or kind of interaction or improv that they can engage in with the customer, and how does that serve the overall story? So at this point, this is the point when it's getting exciting.
Yeah.
Like most of the hard work is now done.
Right.
So
putting the walls
thanks.
up and making the doors and all that stuff.
And cleaning the place out. Oh, my God.
gosh.
It was a nightmare.
Any place we ever get, it's always like, what kind of crazy thing we're going to find in here that you need a hazmat suit for?
Yeah, that was.
We've had this building for a while, so I mean, you clean up the regular trash now.
Yeah, it wasn't so regular this year, but
okay.
We did what we had to do, and we got it done. But yeah, there's always those moments where, one of us looks at the other. Like Danny even called me one day. She goes, "What are we doing?" She's like, "We already ran this, and we proved everything." I was like, "We're gonna prove it again."
We're gonna prove it again. We have to.
But the interesting thing with this theme, once we picked it, the idea formulation for the rooms began with the 7 deadly sins. It wasn't like...
That really makes sense.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, okay, we need to have each deadly sin represented there. Right. It was more or less a launching point, So we went over, like, all right, well, what are the deadly sins? And then we started kind of going from there. Now, some of them stuck. Like, we literally have one we refer to as the gluttony haunt.
Okay.
Vanity haunt. That's the one Ryan was referencing earlier. That
all right. So that one's already really taken shape inside there.
Yeah. Faith Ann, if you were, at the haunted house the last couple of years, Faith Ann will be there again. That will be her room. Yeah. So that was the launching point, and then it kind of became. We did good with those. We came up with what I thought were some solid ideas, and we were able to take classic haunted house tropes like the butcher haunt or the doll room haunt, and put that sort of purgatory twist on them.
To make it real.
To make it a little more realistic.
Come alive and fit the thing?
And it's funny because like everyone's like been referring to like they're like, oh, the doll room, and I'm like, stop calling it a doll room. I was like, it's the doll maker's workshop because it's different from a traditional doll room. Well, I get a text from Jamie one day. She's like, hey, can I paint the doll room like a blue, like a bright blue? I was like, no. I was like, paint it black. She says, well, Danny, I was like, paint it black.
Right.
We settled on like a barf-looking green, but the point is, it's like I wanted to focus on like a minimalist show this year. The most frightening haunted houses I've visited have been the ones that take away a lot of your senses. And as a nonprofit, we don't have the budget to buy expensive animatronics or great lighting systems where we can wow you with eye candy. It's like, so why even go down that road? That's not where our strength lies. Our strength can lie in the storytelling and the improv of our actors. And you don't need expensive set pieces to do that. You need the set pieces you have to be positioned and lit correctly to create the environment for your actor to have that freedom. So that's the angle we're looking at.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've actually heard what you just hinted on there. That, wow, I'm really surprised that your volunteer haunted house is better than the rest of the haunted houses here. And it's the actors, it's the people, it's that family. And they rely on the animatronic prop. Yeah, it was really expensive, but as soon as you see it for what it is, it's not as scary anymore.
Right. You get the initial jump scare, and it looks cool.
It looks cool,
but that's about it. And different people like different things. There are people who go to haunted houses that they're in love with the eye candy, and I like them too. They're fun to go and look at. But
a detailed set always gets me.
I've always felt like, and I've in the last decade or so, I've visited more than 100 locations, and the one thing I came away with was the number one thing that can put a haunted house, the biggest, most important factor is the cast. If the cast is terrible, I don't care how expensive your props are. If the cast is bad, it's a bad show. Like, yeah, I might come away saying, hey, they had some great props and it looked great, but the cast was terrible. The cast is what tells the story. And some of my favorite haunted houses have been those that had very little lighting, very few props, and they were scary because like the cast was so dedicated. You're like, these people may actually be a little twisted.
Right.
Like, I think they went and recruited from the local asylum or the alternative ed.
Right, they're not acting. This feels real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to play to, and that's why, to me, the actor training is so important, especially for the kids, because it's not easy to get into character and kind of lose yourself. Like, I know, I can tell with Ryan, even being on the show, she's a little nervous, and you have to get in that mentality where you're like, I'm suspended.
I'm somebody else.
Yes, I am somebody else, and I'm going to convince other people of that. And when you see that in people's eyes, when you get them, it's just like professional wrestling.
Gasoline on a fire, yeah.
It's suspending that disbelief. They're at a show. They paid an amount for a ticket. They know it's a show. But you get that look in their eyes for that split second where they're like, all right, I know it's a show, but this is unsettling me.
Yeah.
It's like, you got them.
You got them.
And then you can convince them of anything. And that's like, honestly, it's just like a drug, like running through your veins at that point.
Yeah.
Because you really embrace this character you've become. And you can see it in these people's eyes.
You're like, right. So this is a great segue into this, because I wanted to ask about this. So you've referred to Faith Ann and Ryan and Joel. But I know when I walk in the haunted house, nobody's calling anybody Joel or Ryan.
No.
So what's the characters and the nicknames, and what is that?
Well, a lot of people at haunted house get a nickname. And sometimes that evolves into your character. And then sometimes, like, your name becomes synonymous with your character. Danny and Jamie routinely call me brother, and it's because at Sin, people started referring to me as Brother Vermin. My character's name was Vermin. I don't even know who started calling me Brother Vermin. It may have been you. I'm not sure. I know Liz said it early on. I'm not entirely sure, but it stuck. To this day, Danny and Jamie call me brother. All the time. Now with Ryan this year, yeah, she came in. We like to give people nicknames. Some people come in with nicknames, like Ozzy. It's not his real name, but we all call him Ozzy. Ozzy's working our camera right now.
Wait, his name's not Ozzy?
No, man, his name's Jonathan.
Oh, man.
There you go. See, that's how deep we get.
That's how we do it.
So we were.
I didn't know you had a last name for the longest time.
Yeah. Well, so Ryan became a part of the team, so quickly. It was like, this kid needs a nickname.
Yeah.
Now sometimes, like, I call her Ree sometimes, just for short. Well, a week or so ago, she does this thing when she laughs. You want to demonstrate it?
On national TV? What do you think? You're not on the spot.
She does this thing where she laughs, where she kind of hunches over and her arms flop to her sides. I don't know if it was Faith or Danny, someone, or maybe it was Dawn.
It was Dawn.
It was Dawn? And what was the nickname?
It's T-Rex.
T-Rex. She looks like a T-Rex when she laughs. So
well, it's kind of Dawn and Faith, because Faith said you look like a T-Rex, then Dawn said that's your nickname now.
Yeah. T-Rex.
I love it.
So here and there, like, well, now that the maze is up and you're trying to find someone because you're in the process of doing some work, so often I'm like, Danny, like, and then she'll yell at me, where are you? And then you'll say whatever haunt you're in.
Yeah.
So lately you've been hearing T-Rex, and she'll come scampering.
Where are you at?
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, and that really does help build camaraderie.
So what's your favorite thing about, so let's say, our haunted house? Because I know you've seen hundreds of haunted houses.
My favorite thing, you mean in terms of acting or the project overall?
We could do a two-part. Since you're chairing the project, you got to tell me, behind the scenes of running it, what's your favorite part about running it? But I'd like to come back to that question of, once you're in character, what's your favorite?
Behind the scenes, I think two things. I do enjoy the marketing, because that's how you get the story out to the public, and that's how you make it successful. And this year I have been, and I'm glad you brought this, I've been absolutely blessed. Few people behind the scenes. Maria Broll is a new member.
Fantastic.
And has just been, I keep calling her our keyboard assassin. She took the Beautiful Baby project, turned it into like from a $13,000 fundraiser to a $20,000 fundraiser she and Megan did this year. And that's incredible. So as soon as I saw that.
Coverage for the 5K.
Yeah.
She put all those videos together, which really touched Aaron. And when I was watching those, like, you really felt it. Like, she's doing a great job with that.
So when I saw the results from Beautiful Baby, I said to Megan, I was like, she's coming on as my second for the marketing of the haunted house. And she has taken so much pressure off of me. When you have someone like that, you don't have to spoon feed. Like, she just, I give her information and she runs with it. And it's such a relief. But Michelle Kelly has been a big help too behind the scenes. These aren't people who come and haunt, but she helped with all of our food sponsorships. We feed our crew every Friday and Saturday, and a lot of times it's kind of like, oh, we got this date to fill, that date to fill. We have all of our dates filled.
That's awesome.
And that was, I would say, 75% Michelle this year. She got it all lined up. We have a ton of sponsors this year, and I couldn't be more thankful and relieved. So I do enjoy the marketing, but I'd say behind the scenes, the things I enjoy the most are the idea generation, the days when Danny and I and Steve and Jamie and that core group of us sit down and we say, how are we going to mess with people
how are we going to do it, yeah.
Because never fails, I always have a couple ideas where everyone else goes, Joel, we are not doing that. And I'm like, no, hear me out.
I remember when you built an outhouse in the lobby of, was that Kindred, right?
It was a Kindred, yeah.
Right.
I didn't personally build it, but that was my idea.
I figured it was your idea, and I was like, what is he doing?
It was a photo op.
The photos turned into the coolest, one of the coolest parts of that thing.
So yeah, the idea generation, because there's some nights like, man, Danny and I just like get clicking because we have very similar minds. Yeah. And we play off of each other so well.
Pretty demented in real life, yeah.
And well, I know when Danny looks at me, he's like, Joel, that's disturbing. I'm like, well, maybe I've gone over the line.
I've definitely crossed,
but there's a room this year, there was an idea where several committee members were like, and I said, nah, we're doing it. And they kind of looked at me crossways. I said, no, we're sticking. So there's a room in there that I've never seen in another haunted house. And I do think people are genuinely going to be like, this has crossed the line.
All right, I can dig that.
The other thing is working with the kids. I love to work with the kids and see those light bulbs turn on when they come in. Like, Ryan's similar to, we had a girl show up 2 years ago, Erica Taub. She showed up and she was very quiet like a mouse. This will be her 3rd year now. And to like see them just come out of their shell a little bit and then they start to get the bug for haunting and they really start to catch on.
I love that too.
It's really rewarding because you feel like, well, we taught them something. And not only just how to be a haunter, but it brings them out of their shell a little bit. And that camaraderie there, I think it means a lot to a lot of us. Yeah,
it does. It's a family. It really is. And I like that part of the Jaycees when you see a new JC take on those things. Even like Maria with the marketing, it's like, oh, you know, she's doing it. Somebody's carrying the torch forward. Like it's they're part of the family now. So guys, we're quickly running out of time on the show, which blows my mind. But we got to tell the people when they can come to this event. Where do they go? Tell them what they need to know.
We're opening September 27th. We will run through November 2nd. We will be open on Devil's Night and Halloween. Fridays and Saturdays, 7 p.m. to midnight. Sundays, 7 to 10.
Okay.
You can check out our Facebook page. If you search Purgatory Haunted House or Wyandotte Jaycees Haunted House, you'll find us on Facebook. That has all of our dates and times, pricing information, promotional pictures. We also have an Instagram page. If you search Wyan, W-Y-A-N, Jaycees, H-H, or search Purgatory Haunted House, you'll find our Instagram page.
Good deal.
And we are doing online ticketing for the first time this year. So we're very excited about that.
Right.
And we actually have pre-sale tickets going on sale very soon, up until early bird tickets up until the 26th. And those are at a discounted rate.
And they find those on the website as well?
There will be a link on our Facebook page. It's through a site called HauntPay.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a whole system like where if you like to share the link, you can get the discount, so it spreads our name even further.
Great.
Yeah, but we're definitely still looking for volunteers, and every year, 1 or 2 people shows up where at the end of the season you think, thank God that person came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because where would we have been without them?
Yeah. Rock and roll. Well, hey, I'd like to thank both of you guys for being on the show today. I can't wait to come through the haunted house and see what you put together. Ryan, thanks for being on the team. And the very closing question, Joel.
Yeah.
Are you going to get to act?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Vermin's coming back.
It's going to be Vermin?
And coming back with a vengeance.
All
yeah,
right.
I didn't get to play Vermin at all last year. It sapped my soul. I got a lot of pent-up frustration.
It's time.
I'm going to work it out on you people.
All right, brother. T-Rex, thanks for being on the show.
No problem.
We'll see you guys later. What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for watching Jaycees TV today. Really like to thank our guests for being on the show with the Jayteens, talking about the haunted house with Joel and Ryan. What an amazing show. Thank you guys for being here. And as I said at the lead of the show, check out the Jaycees. I really want you guys to come check us out. And you're watching this in Wyandotte, come to our meeting. We hold a monthly meeting. It's the second Tuesday of every month, so you can always come at that day. It's at 7:30 p.m., and it's at our Copeland Center right here in Wyandotte. The meeting lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. You get to learn about all our projects and programs that we do, and it's a great first step to get involved with the Jaycees. So come check us out.